I was already writing, but I was a toy. I was a neighborhood toy and shit like that. I don't know if y'all want to hear how I got my tag and shit, but
yeah, absolutely.
So there was this one dude. So I was going. Y'all got to chop this up because you know what I'm saying? I'll be fucking up when I talk sometimes. Sometimes. So boom, I went to public high school, PS 191, and it's on like bordering Hell's Kitchen in the Upper West Side, and I knew how to draw. Everybody knew that. You know what I'm saying? And there was another kid named Ruben that knew how to draw as well. Then there was another Ruben. But this Ruben, he was from 84th Street. He used to call it A4 back then, 84th in Amsterdam. They used to call it A4. That was the name of that block. So Ruben was a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? And back then, niggas used to just like not go to school. Back then, niggas used to get left back a lot. And we used to have what we call super seniors. Mm-hmm. You remember? So he was like a super senior. This dude was brolic and all that shit. He was like Dominican and black, just like me or some shit. So he would barely come to school. So one day, it was the last day of school. He came through. He was just there for no reason, chilling. And we didn't have to do any work. And he's sitting at the table, like drawing in a black book. So I didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Everybody's like, yo, come look at this shit. Come see what he's doing, because they knew I drew too. So I went to look at it, and he was writing like his tag in the shit. And it was post 2. And the number 2 was a sand clock.
Hourglass.
An hourglass. And then the 2 wooden bars on the ends were the number 2. And I thought that shit was the illest shit I ever seen. And before that, I was just catching mad random stupid tags. Like I would write Big DS from Onyx and shit like that because I look like him. You know what I'm saying? Amazing. So I used to write shit like that and Chaos and, Gnome 2 and shit like that. So boom, I was like, nah, I like this shit. I was like, yo, I'm gonna write post 1. And I told him that. And he was like, he didn't give a fuck. He was like, go ahead. So I just kept on flowing with that shit. And then I started really getting into it and seeing graffiti. I started looking at it differently. You know what I'm saying? Like really noticing actual writers, not just neighborhood toy shit. And I had writers that came from my block, like Risk FC, Share 37, a bunch of niggas from Hell's Kitchen. The Upper West Side is all the niggas that I came up to, like OJ and Nice and fucking JA and all the RTW dudes and a bunch of other cats that y'all probably don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? But once I started getting into that, I started hanging out with I met my man Daz. You know who Daz is, right? So Daz became like my partner in crime. Like he's Albanian. He was my that was my partner. Daz was already on this shit. He's older than me. You know what I'm saying? So he was already coming through with low on and shit like that. And he had like North Faces, like ones that I didn't know about, like Extremes and shit like that. So I was like, oh shit. So from Daz, he introduced me to cats from the Bronx because he went to environmental studies with Ammo. And who else went there? Remember Perry?
Yeah. He
went there with Perry. I think Sia might have went there. I'm not sure. So he went there with them. And then when I immediately, I evolved quick. So I got close to them niggas. Then I started going to the Bronx. So when I go to Bronx, I go to 8 Ball's crib. I mean, 8 Ball, Rehab is living there, right? Yeah. So when Rehab is living there and shit, I started just hanging out there every day. Like I'm there. We didn't even have cell phones back then. So I was just there. My mother's like, where the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't hear from me for days. Like, beepers too. Yeah, absolutely. But for days, she would be like, yo, where the fuck have you been? Like, I'm worried and shit. But I was just up there getting high, chilling with them. Then we get into racking for money. And then, yo, from there, it went crazy. And then 8 Ball and them, they brought me down to Soho. And,
the Ville.
To the Ville on the writers' side of shit, though, because I would go through there, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was going to Tenton Trails and all that as a kid, but they brought me into the world of graffiti down there. Like, the Broadway scene, Astor Place, is 2 different worlds. That's why I met Bunny and all these motherfuckers. I see him. He's coming through with, like, Pete Tennis's and casino button-ups, and he had all this crazy shit. Wild was another one. I'm not going to front. He was, it was Wild and Bunny. They were, the fucking top dogs. Like, always with the illest shit on, because y'all worked, right? They had jobs. Back then, niggas ain't have no motherfucking jobs. High school. So I don't know what you was doing, but he found ways to get all this shit maneuvering. He was maneuvering. Brand fucking new. Wild did work.
Yeah.
Because Wild had the Jacob bracelet and all this shit and rollies on. I'm like, what the fuck is it? We was all just racking and, you know what I'm saying? Finding ways to get shit. So dealing with these niggas uptown, they was putting me on the spots like a little bit upstate, even Woodbury. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I've been to Woodbury with my family. But when they, I went with, I think, Ammo for the first time, and my man Lex. Lex was a little kid, dude. He was a blood. He was like a little Puerto Rican kid. He was about 15 at the time, but he looked like he was 13. But he would take his mother's Camry, and yo, he looked insane driving it. Like, I'm like, yo, please don't let us get pulled over. But we go all the way to Woodbury, run up in there, me, him, Ammo. This was like 95, 90, it's like 96 or 97. Because they still had the steep techs in there.
In Woodbury?
Yeah, they had the 96 steeps or the 95 steeps still. So all the new shit was already out in the stores. They still had that stuff though in the outlet. So they had that stuff, and I went in there with them. Boom. I just start shotgunning mad pants down the leg. I'm taking fucking mountain jackets, mountain lights, all this crazy shit. And
they didn't even have the Lizzies back then either.
They didn't have them on those.
Yeah.
But if they did, I knew, and I had the clipper with me. So I was breaking them in there. And there's these 2 white dudes in the store. This is before they had the dudes with the big black suits outside.
Yeah.
That wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
So boom, these 2 white dudes in the store. They look like lumberjacks or some shit. They didn't give a fuck. They're just talking to each other about like bows and arrows and shit like that. And we're in the back, just young kids just going, having a field day. So boom, I wreck them. I walk out. And I go put the shit in the car. Like, I took 2 jackets, 2 pairs of pants. Then I come back in. These niggas are still in there and shit. Then they leave. They come back. So when they come back, they attempt to take a steep tech. They did have alarms. The steep techs had the zip-in hood.
Yeah.
So they had the alarm
on the
inside.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they didn't know that. So boom, they walk out. I was in front of them. So they were like 20 steps behind me. They were like 20 steps behind me. I'm walking out. I got more shit down the leg and shit. They had these long bill hats. And they were like monochrome. Like they were just one color. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah.
They had orange, like a mustard yellow.
With the white North Face logo or the black one?
Nah, it was just all straight.
Yeah, it was all the same color.
So boom, I take a bunch of those, throw them down the leg. They was like in a tin bucket.
And they were thin. They're real thin hats. Like
They were
summer
ill
hats.
So I walk out. These niggas is behind me. I hear beep, 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 beep. I'm like, oh shit. So now I see the guys running to the front.
But you think it's you?
Nah, they didn't, because I was already
saying,
out the
you
store.
thought it was you.
Nah, but I was already shook because I had that shit down the leg. So I'm like, damn, they're gonna come grab me up.
Yeah. They
So
run past you.
I start running. And it's wintertime. So there's like a grassy little knoll thing that then it goes back to the concrete.
Yeah.
I step on that shit and I go flying. And I bust my shit all over the floor. I'm rolling around. I get up. Yo, then I
have a visual of that would be priceless.
Yo, then I start running to the car crazy. But I'm like, because back then they had the motherfuckers that just patrolled in a car.
White car.
Yeah, like
there
around
wasn't that many stores back then either.
There wasn't. So boom, I get to the car and I'm hiding behind the car and shit like that. Like, thinking that they're not gonna see me. So I'm looking to see, like, please let them go because how am I gonna get home? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to find my way back on the Amtrak and some shit. And the guys just took the shit back from them and let them go. We went home. But after that, it was on. Like, it was on. Like, I needed everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just rapping.
Everything.
Dang.
I needed everything.